All right. So I've got a huge project behind me, and I'm not sure if I made a pretty big mistake in front of me. And I think I might need your help on this, or at least your input. Now, behind me is a 2004 Ram 1500. Now, this is the ST model. This is like the work truck, the base model. But the fact that this thing is over 22 years old or 22 plus years old, it doesn't even have 62,000 miles on it. Now, there's a story behind it, and I'm still trying to figure out some of that story. But before we get into that, so from the jump, I don't want to waste your time. If you're into third gen Rams, if you have one, like I said, interested in Rams in general, modding your truck, off-roading, overlanding, and just kind of building something out like this, and I will be doing the work, then that's what this series is going to be about. And some additional nuance is that this truck came from Virginia, and I'm currently in Colorado. We'll get into that in a sec. But when we talk about the mistake, when you look at like overlanding and off-roading, it's like always the Toyotas, right? Like it's like religion. And full transparency here, I own a 98 4Runner. And of course, my son actually drives that. So that's not like a daily or anything that I use. But what I will say is when it comes to that community, and again, it seems like it's religion. We have been able to find parts for it very easily and mods and all of those things. I can find parts for this generally for like the maintenance pieces, but when it comes to like the mods and the lifts, I'm a little bit limited. And so that is actually something I'm wondering, did I make the mistake? And just because in general, people don't always consider these trucks that are kind of built for towing as to whether it's something good for like off-roading and something to just kind of like take up into the mountains. So I wanted to blaze some trails, do something a little bit like different, like off the beaten path here. And that's why I really wanted to dive into this project. Whether head first and I get a few bumps and scrapes along the way, we will see. So as far as the nuance is concerned, we own a property in a farming community in Virginia right now. And so this truck, consider it, let's say, like a barn find, but it wasn't inside of the barn, it was outside of the barn, and certainly didn't look like this when I got it, at least in Virginia. And I did drive it back. So I was the one to drive this back. I'll kind of talk about the story throughout the series of like getting it back, and why and all of the things. But I at least want to share with you some of the things that I have already done with it just to get it here, just to make it like road ready to get here safely, and kind of like the why behind it, because I was going to just have this truck shipped here. We'll go through some of the changes, some of the things that might help you along the way as you build out your truck. Okay, so let's actually get into, we'll get into these wheels and tires first. So I've got these like Wild Peak AT tires. I put these on in Virginia, and the reason being is that the tires that were on it were only like, they probably only had a couple thousand miles on them, but they were, I think, like 10 years old. And I just did not trust those tires. They had been sitting out, even though they looked like they had a ton of tread life, going 70, 75 miles an hour on the highway. That was just a no-go for me. Plus, I knew that I wanted to upgrade the rim, and these are offset rims. What we're dealing with here, so like if you just want to ride something like this without lifting it or anything, 265, 70, 17s here on these rims. I'm going to link up the tires, the rims, everything that I do to this truck will be in the link or be in the description below. But if you were interested without modifying it, it is great, except for on the full lock, when you're backing up, there is a little bit of rubbing. But as far as on the highway, I didn't want to get a highway tire because I'm taking these tires off and putting them on the 4Runner. And because I am going to get a bigger tire on these. I'm probably going to go 35. I know people would say like 37, but I think we're going to stick. We'll see how we go once we get a lift on this thing. But definitely bigger tires, keeping the rims. Now, when it comes to these third gens, and especially that this thing sat outside for years and was barely driven, I know a lot of like up here in the wheel well and these like fenders and everything, as far as like rust is concerned, I have not really found like very much rust at all on this truck. There's like little sections. And then of course, under the frame, we'll actually talk about that when we get there. But even the chrome here is in great shape. Now, as far as progression is concerned, let's also talk about the paint here. So let me just give you, well, first off, before we get into that, I like the fact that we've got like full crew cab here. That's not like, as you can see, like that door is a little bit smaller, but I don't have to open this door to get this one open. Not to mention that I still have the cab in the back, but then we still have the 6'4" bed here. So like a full bed, which we have been using, and I'll get into that in a second. We'll talk about the tonneau cover as well. But just the fact that I don't need to open up the front to get this one open. This is what I'm talking about. This was all on the outside of it. So like I said, that is on the truck. This was all on the outside of the truck. I have washed like 5 times. I think I have washed this thing. So we'll get it cleaner, but I just needed to get it somewhat presentable and just kind of get stuff off. I mean, like we had like vines in this thing. I mean, just like it had just been living in a forest. So we'll also kind of take a peek at like the inside here. Now, here is something that is pretty cool. I've heard that these dashes cracked, like over the years. Like it was terrible. Like, you know, Dodge did a terrible job with these dashes. And surprisingly enough, this truck was primarily outside, and it didn't, like, I haven't found any cracks on the dash. And so what I found out was, like, when I went to like look at the Google like maps and stuff, when they like take photos and like of the property, and I saw that this truck was always facing, over the years, always facing in the direction of the morning sun, not the afternoon sun, like when it kind of gets hot and like really gets heated up. Now, again, it probably did get heated up, but there were also some trees that were around it. And that's what I'm kind of wondering. Or is it the fact that it's just, this thing is like literally, it's plastic. I mean, so we'll see. But I've already taken the panel off here to install that. I have a video on this, and I will post that just so that you have that. And it's a crazy video. I was sleep deprived when I did it, so watch it if you want, or make fun of it, whatever. But I literally was on like, I think I was awake for going on almost 48 hours. So one of the things, because we got the base model here, we have the windows that roll down like that. And of course, no power locks. The only power is under that hood. But yeah, you can actually see some of the stuff here. Still got to clean this out. I love these mirrors. There were like hornets' nests that were like living in this, so I had to get those out. I'm not even sure if I got everything out, but we're going to be double checking that. But like I said, I'm going to try to clean some of this stuff up. I do have a product that will likely work on that. Now, the fact that these are towing trucks, you can see like that rake here, and obviously you got plenty of room for those tires here on that. So like, again, if this is something that you were thinking about for your own truck, stock, definitely in the back, you're going to be just fine. I mean, you could probably even go bigger if you wanted to. All right, and as we move over here, like with the exhaust, so this is the single out on the passenger side. We'll probably put like a MagnaFlow on it or something like that. I am still kind of like looking at that process, but we'll definitely be upgrading this. As far as the rust, again, like I said, you are not really, I mean, I've gone through this like up underneath of it. Yes, I've got some things I need to get off here, but it is a very clean truck, especially because it was back east. But I think partly due that it just wasn't driven a lot. But again, if you're not washing these out properly, I just kind of wonder if there was so much stuff built up on it. It was almost like protecting the paint. Now, this tonneau cover, I do have a bit of a story. I have a reason, like the second best reason to buy this tonneau cover. This is the back flip. And I will get into that in the other video that I will be linking up so that you know the context. But what the deal was is the reason why I got the tonneau cover is my son wanted me to pick it up in Virginia and pick him up in Indiana. He goes to Purdue, and he just wanted to drive it home. Like I said, I was going to ship this truck home, but he wanted to drive it home. So I got this tonneau cover to protect his stuff. But the interesting thing is that this is a drop-in liner. I do not like drop-in liners. We will be putting in another liner in this, but I had to upgrade this. So for the lock, because on these models, it does not lock. And you need to lock this up for your tonneau cover, because this otherwise like locks. but only because your tailgate is locked. And like I said, I'll do like more details here, but yeah, I mean, this is just sitting here. Um, and I've made some crazy cuts. We'll talk about that in the other video. But like I said, I want to give you the reason why I love this tonneau cover so much, but I will link that up. But again, the paint, there's like only, like this is like a little bit of rust here. It's incredible. So kind of coming around, also you can probably see that when I power wash this thing, so this pinstripe just got pulled off. Like, I mean, so I'll have to remove this. I am thinking about just keeping this white and maybe just repainting it. I am going to tint the windows. The back, just these are tinted, but I will be tinting all of these. I'm going to be pulling the doors off, or at least the panels off here. I'm going to be pulling this off. We're going to be doing a little bit of soundproofing, but I also like to pull the panels off and pull the windows out when I tint. But as far as the no carpeting, so like this is like the rubber work like mat basically. I mean this is like an extra. I don't even think you really like need this, but like you could almost like spray this off with a hose. Not that I did, but I certainly did like a little bit of like kind of spray and wipe in there because I didn't want the water to settle in. But as far as the crew cab is concerned, pretty good amount of space here. This of course lifts up here, and we'll be getting into some of those details on what I'm going to do with this. So, and again, rolling down the windows here. And then I have these that I don't know if I want to keep these, but I know that like they're starting to come off. So I'm going to need to do something with that. So here's the thing. Here's probably what you've been waiting for. Let's see here. You can check that out. 61,853. I pretty much put those 1,800 miles on just to get it here from Virginia. And I have been driving this truck for a few months off and on when I kept going back to the property. Now, this is my scanner here, my bidirectional. That'll help us get some of the work done here. This thing is like a dining room table. I mean, seriously. I mean, like if you want to get some work done, like a laptop or whatever, not that I necessarily would probably bring my laptop, but hey, I mean, very comfortable. And as far as this Alpine, like I said, I installed it. I will do a full review of this. One of the reasons why I wanted to go with something a little bit more old school and not do like an Android or Apple CarPlay is that there was just something about just kind of sticking as close to just a single DIN, just kind of old school. Not to mention the preamps in these things are incredible. I mean, Alpine makes some great units. And I don't know if I might do something here in this space where I end up putting some kind of like GPS thing or something down here. We'll see how I can kind of mod this thing. So easy to take this thing out though, to put that unit in. As far as check engine light. So, well, here, let's actually get into like the engine a little bit and I'll kind of talk about it. But yeah, as you can kind of see, of course I had to put this out. I love these mirrors. There was definitely a hornet's nest in this thing when I was leaving Virginia because the Hornet flew in as I was leaving the property. All right, so as far as this engine is concerned, I mean, look, you can get to work in this thing. I mean, and what I did before I left is I made sure like the hoses and the belts were all looking pretty decent. As I was preparing for this road trip, I was looking at, okay, what do I need to take care of? Because I knew that the family had a mechanic helping them out at one point, like with the truck. I pulled the VIN, I got some of the Carfax stuff. The fact that this was in Virginia as well is that it needed to be inspected annually, even if it wasn't like really driven, but that was kind of part of the process. You needed to have it inspected. So somebody was actually looking at this at least on an annual basis, but there was a mechanic, I believe, involved. And I'm trying to find like some of the replacements that may have occurred, but all of this seemed to be in pretty decent condition. And I've got to change out like these 16 spark plugs because I don't think that that's ever happened. So I'm going to do like a 60,000 mile maintenance on this. That booster will definitely get in the way, but we'll figure that out. And like I said, just kind of moving around this whole thing. Like I said, there was moss, there was dirt, there was all kinds of stuff caked on this engine. So as I get further into it, I'm sure I'll be finding some more things, but I just wanted to get it road ready, and I'll talk about, road ready. But going into this front end first, let me just say, like on a third gen 4Runner, you want to make sure that those like lower ball joints are replaced because it's a catastrophic failure. And so I did look at the control arms and ball joints and just really the front end because I was just worried, like, okay, is this going to be a similar situation? That was what I was most concerned about. I can certainly replace like hoses and tape things up and just kind of get it to a place. I brought some tools from Virginia when I brought this truck out here. So if like I needed to, replace stuff like that, that's fine. But I did not want to be dealing with anything on this front end and having ball joints and things like that snap. All right. So here, let's get up under this truck. Just at least a cursory look at what's happening here. All right, so a cursory look. So as far as rust is concerned, at least here in the front, and leaks, oh my gosh. So, and I'll get to that, but we've got a little bit of rust happening, but all this stuff is going to get replaced. I want to make this an off-roading rig, so we're going to be replacing all this. But at least from the front, pretty decent, right? We're going to be changing out the brakes. I am going to be taking care of all of that because if we're going bigger tires, bigger, lifted and all those things, I want to make sure that we're going to be able to stop. So that transmission, I am going to be taking a look at that. There's definitely some weeping going there. We're going to be dropping that pan. We're going to be putting a new gasket on it. We're going to be changing out the filters on this. I heard something about like the header bolts as well on these. So we're probably going to be taking care of stuff like that. Now, one of the things, I don't know if you can see, but that oxygen sensor. So I changed out all 4 O2 sensors. That was one code that I was pulling back in Virginia. So when I changed them all out, that code, I was able to clear it and it did not come back when I was on the road. Now, a little bit of rust here. We're going to be getting rid of that. I do have like an evap code. So I do have a smoke machine and I will be running that just to see like where that leak is. I have an idea of where it probably is on that driver's side, up around the gas tank. But I did change out the gas cap, but even the gas cap that was on it was a Mopar one and it looked like it had been pretty new. But like I said, we're probably going to put, as far as the exhaust is concerned, probably going to do like a MagnaFlow or something like that. But as far as the frame is concerned, it is in pretty good shape. Like I said, we'll get this cleaned up and protect all that moving forward. Now going back around here, this is the original tire. So that's got to go. That has got to go. So once we get the new tires and stuff on this truck, we will get a 5th matching tire. That diff, we're going to service that diff. And one of the things that I was thinking about is that if I'm going to be off-roading, then I'm probably going to put something that is a bit modded on this, but I want to make sure that I don't get something. I want my diff to run as cool as possible. I'm going to run some tests, but I'll likely have to put something on there that'll be protected as I go, hit like rocks and all kinds of stuff. So I want to do my research on that because I don't want to just get something just because it like looks cool. I need it to function for me. And then, yeah, like I said, we've got some rust here. Let's see what else we got. There's a little bit here. I mean, it really isn't all that bad. I mean, considering. So we'll get rid of this as we get to work on this truck. Like I said, I mean, there's like plenty of tread on that tire, but this is the original tire that came with the truck. So yeah, we'll be getting rid of that. And I think I should have enough space up in here to be able to at least put a 35. Like I said, I'm going to be testing some things out just to make sure, and I will share all of that with you. Okay, so this video is already crazy long enough as it is. I just wanted to give you like a walk around, just kind of getting into the truck. I will be breaking down pieces of like each section, each mod, upgrade. I'll have a video for that tonneau cover. Again, why I like it so much, because I mean, it's like the second best reason to buy it. And so as you might find stuff, as you might have some helpful tips, hit me up in the comment section below, because I want this to be like a community. I want to build out a community with this truck and with these like generation of trucks and Rams, because like I said, I'm doing something a little bit different here, and I just kind of want to go full send. I just want to hit that Hemi. We're going forward, and anyway, I appreciate your time, and so stay tuned for more content in this series, and I will catch you right back here on the next one.